Welcome to another video. A couple of years ago I put out a couple of videos looking at the possible direction for Truman. I will give links in the description and it might be helpful for you to have a look at those. But in summary, there have been a lot of social media comment, and from their comment from Vince Romano, the boss at Truman, about the operation of the company, looking at the products. I think where it started was from a quality control point of view. Customers were complaining about welting issues, about the match from boot to boot, about the imperfections, so-called, in leathers. Vince got somewhat irritated about this, feeling that customers, or some customers, were not really understanding what a proper natural leather product was about. Leather is not a universal in terms of appearance and the way that it wears. It is different. It will look different from boot to boot and across the same boot. I think that frustrated him, but he did acknowledge that he did have some staffing problems as well, and maybe that was contributing to quality control issues. Fast forward towards the end of those videos that I made 2 years ago, it did look as though he was going to try to move out into a more mass production model, possibly not a Goodyear welted model, cheaper boots, boots that were based upon comfort, maybe more workwear, but he still had these three lasts in old money: the 79, the 56 and the 20. I think he calls them casual, work and formal lasts now. The reality of what happened at that time was, from my point of view, I've got big feet, I've got wide feet, and what seemed to happen is if you had feet over 12.5 US, which I have, if you didn't have standard D-fit, in other words double E or beyond, which I have, there was nothing on offer. Many people, including me, said that they would get out of the market as far as Truman were concerned, that they bought their last pair. I genuinely thought that I had. Having said that, I did buy a Cypress leather boot on an already off the shelf available, and that was in a 12.5 double E, and to my surprise it fitted. There's a video that I put out and I'll give a link on that. But I thought what was going to happen, this is 2 years ago, I thought what was going to happen is we were going to go to very sort of ordinary types of leathers, just ordinary calf leathers, maybe some tougher leathers being offered by Truman, and that a lot of the leathers that were causing difficulties, these are the very good leathers from the likes of Seidel, Galoon, CF Stead, Horween, where they're difficult to work. Inexperienced staff are going to have difficulty in constructing these boots. It's difficult to match the boots up. There will inevitably be, I would call it patina. Some people would call it imperfections. So you've got a natural wild animal picking up thorn and insect bites, and I think this was somewhat causing the problem. So you would think, therefore, that if Vince was getting all these problems from difficult leathers and offering different last combinations, that he'd just cut his losses and stick to something easy. In the last 6 months or more, we've seen the complete opposite of that. I'm going to read off a list now. We've had cypress leathers, more than one colour: natural cypress, autumn cypress, kudu from CF Stead, burgundy rambler from CF Stead, Marionberry shrunken horse from Galoon, Seaweed Crazy Cow from CF Stead, Turquoise Shrunken Bison. These are unusual colours in unusual leathers, difficult to work leathers. It's almost as though we're back to 2023 when Truman were offering all these sorts of leathers. And maybe what Vince has realised is that the where Truman needs to be is offering leathers that nobody else does. I know that a few companies will offer kudu, but Truman now seem to be back where their strength lies. The other thing is there's a lot of MTOs made to order where you can customize the entire boot. I've got one coming along. Some would argue that this is the very leather that has been causing Vince problems back a couple of years ago. And I will do a review on that. I've got the boot now. And I'm pleased that, I'm not saying Vince has seen the light, but I'm glad that he's gone back to what I would say is his core, the products that put Truman right at the top of the tree in terms of variation, quality, something that was really, really characterful. I think partly to address the problems that he'd had, if you look through on an order, it's slightly different from the MTO made to order compared with off the shelf, but it will say that you acknowledge that this is a leather from maybe a wild animal, but certainly an animal. It's not going to be uniform in appearance, and that you acknowledge that. But it also goes on to say, which I'm glad that it does, is that the selection of leather, the clicking out of the leathers, means that it is going to follow some sort of symmetry in terms of colour and shape and texture from the left boot to the right boot. People were getting, it was the same leather, but the left boot was very, very light across the vamp, and the right boot was very, very dark, or the natural striations, veining across the leather was going across the boot on the left boot and up and down the boot on the right boot. I think he's sorting that out as well. I don't think my next video is going to be a Truman boot, but I do have a couple of really, really good Truman boots coming up. So please look out for those. Please have a look at the videos that I've linked in the description. And please like and subscribe. And I very much look forward to seeing you next time.